Good morning. Okay. Thanks for coming. I hope I will see more people coming as well. I saw yesterday 96 people signed off. I think the weather is, and still they are buying coffee. So, okay, let's a small introduction about myself. My name is Sachin Tong. I'm from Singapore. I am representing Singapore government here. I work in GovTech. GovTech is a digital arm for Singapore nation. That means anything about digital data, AI, our ministries, our offices, our public areas are required. We are the people who actually work across ministries. So basically, yeah, that's it from my side. How many people have visited Singapore? That's great. I'm sure all good. The place is small, but it is very, very effective. And I would encourage the people who have not visited Singapore, please do visit us, because it's a great place, right? We feel very proud about our nation because we are working towards very hard to make it a smart nation. 7 to 8 minutes is the maximum time it takes at an airport transit. So if I go back home, it will take 7 to 8 minutes for me to exit the airport and sit in the taxi. So this is the kind of efficiency we are talking about in the public sector. So today, before I was coming here, I was thinking that people across the globe will be coming, and I hope some more people will be coming in soon, right? So what I can give you so that you can take back and really think that this session was worth your time, because this is not the time you will get back again, right? So I always think about success matrix, whatever work I do. So today the success matrix for me for this session is that I give you something which you can take back to your organization or to your own office or wherever, and try to do something which has worked for us. So I'm not going to talk about something conceptually only. I'm going to share something which we have done, which we are very proud of, and which has worked for us. I will also share some of the lessons learned, which on the journey of this data transformation we did, what didn't work for us and how did we adapted it. So I hope you will be able to get some good key takeaways from this session. GovTech, so basically it's a government technology. It started all in 2016 with a vision of Prime Minister that we want to make our nation as a smart nation. So we have products like, for example, we have a product called SyncPass, where I can log in into SyncPass through my ID, which is we call as just like you have a social security number here, like SyncPass, and then I can log in into that and connect to all the data points of the government, what are my fines, what are my taxes, what is my CPF contribution, what is my visa, is there any kind of my health status in terms of finances, anything, so you will be able to have a single point of stop and you can get all these things. So we make products like this. Parking.sg, one of the product which you go into the parking, you just switch on your parking, and you can actually get pay based on minutes, right? So for example, if you bought 30 minutes parking and you just spend 26 minutes, you can actually stop the parking and the money will be refunded to you. So it's a very, very convenient way of making sure all our parkings are fully kind of automated and sync. So let's start with data strategy. Anything about data, anything about AI, when it comes to your mind, it always starts with strategy. You cannot have a clear success matrix of data or AI or ROI of your products, how much money you have invested, right, unless you have a very clear defined strategy. And before data strategy, business strategy comes into the place. So I'm going to tell you a very funny story, not a funny story, it's a true story about myself when I joined GovTech 3 years back. That was my first time I joined any government sector. Previously, I was working always in the private sector, in the banks and financial institutes, where ROI, money making and all those things was the prime focus. Government sector, where we are non-profit, we touch lives through technology, we touch lives with data. Right? We bring smile on the faces of the people so that we can actually make their lives better. So the whole idea when I joined GovTech and when I had a discussion with my CEO that this is our first Chief Data Officer we have hired, now you do the magic with data. And that was my KPI in half an hour discussion with CEO. So do the magic. So I was not able to understand what magic he's talking about. Then I was scratching my head and I asked him that, okay, can you tell me 2 areas which is not making you sleep in the night? He said, the 2 areas which is not making me sleep in the night as a CEO of the organization is the HR and the finance. In HR, I really don't know how many people I'm losing, how fast we are hiring, what kind of skill set we have, what kind of people are working on what kind of projects. I don't get real-time updates. I cannot make decision making. If I need answers, I have to go ask people, and they take days and weeks to turn out the information. For finance, the same problem. I don't know what is my P&L, which products are doing better, which products I should be scrapping off because they are not generating ROI. So these are the 2 domains, or these areas which is making me not sleep in the night. So these are the few 2 areas. Then what we did is, with the help of my team, we actually did a small exercise called data maturity index. I don't know how many you are aware about data maturity index or data maturity in the organization. Any organization sits on tons of data depending on the size of your organization. But what is the maturity level of the organization to capitalize on this data is a very, very big question mark. And you can actually create only data strategy when you understand what is the maturity level of the organization in terms of data. And every department in the organization has a different maturity level. HR might have a completely different maturity level than finance. Procurement can have a complete different maturity level than compliance. So what we did is we identified the maturity index of our organization by actually driving some questionnaire, by having some interviews with the people who are in the specific departments, and we figured out that what kind of maturity index is there for each department. For example, how did we do that? How many automation pipelines are there? How much data is there stored in Excel? How much data is stored in a data lake house? How much data is manually collected? How much data is manually cleaned? These kind of questions gives an idea that what is the maturity level of the data in that in that function. So after that, we came out that one size fit for all will not work for data strategy. Our data strategy should be revolving around service model approach. When I use the word service model approach is that, for example, I am going to Uber and I am taking a service to be picked up from here and dropped there. Data should be always think like a product. So basically, from a data strategy perspective, service model approach perspective is that, for example, if the gentleman sitting in front of me is from HR and he says, I want to automate my HR, I want to make sure that I can give a real-time insights, I want to make sure my data is consolidated. So he will actually pick up what kind of services. So on the slide, what you see pillars here. You cannot see the slides, huh? Nobody told me as well. Guys, wake up, good morning. I was looking at these slides.
Oh, we saw the slide. We should be looking at it.
Ayo. Yeah. Sorry for this glitch. I might have to repeat. I need extra time, guys. Okay, so the slides are very, very important. And thankfully, I saw, if I would have saw after 40 minutes, what? My slides, these slides, I have put quite a bit of effort. You should be actually looking at these slides. Okay, so meanwhile, I continue talking, and I'll rewind all the slides because I think it's not correct if you don't see those. So basically, in the slide, what you will see the pillars. So, for example, if somebody in the organization is coming and saying, okay, hey Sachin, we do have already data automation in place. We do already have the automation of data. We do have some level of maturity, but we don't know how to tell stories with our data. We don't know how to do real-time analytics on the data, right? So we want to make sure that this. So we will give them a service called Insight as a Service, which you will see in the slide. right? But if on the other side somebody says, hey, we are just playing with Excel, our data is all over the place, everything is captured in manual, so we will give them data as a service as a first pillar, which means we will consolidate their data, bring into the shape where garbage in, garbage doesn't out. It's a fantastic. Wow, it's awesome. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is my first slides. It was just a pure marketing about Singapore, which we feel very proud about our thing. This is the slide which I was talking about, the pillars. If you see, there are 4 key pillars into this slide. Number 1, data as a service. For example, if you want people, or any department wants to say, okay, I want to have data as a service, right? Consolidate. And if you see, we will provide clear use cases. We will leverage on data discovery for better data management. Insight as a service has a clear defined goals, what we will give in Insight as a service. And then we will do advanced analytics as a service. And on top of it, we will actually use the concept of data mesh, where we actually bring data domain ownership into the picture. I don't know how much you will agree with me. In my past, most of the data projects have failed because the business people who gives the data to the data office or to the IT department, after pushing the data to us, they say, hey, this is your problem now, and just fix it. I can fix data problem, I can fix IT problem, but I cannot fix domain problem. I really have zero clue about data. I don't know how you evaluate your KPI, how fast you are hiring in HR, right? So basically, until and unless that the perfect marriage between IT, CDO office and the business owner and the data owners combined together, I don't think so we can have a successful project. So that mindset has to change. And how do we change that mindset? We change the mindset through data mesh, where we can identify people from the business domain owners to be the champions. So for example, I'm sorry I'm picking you up because you were brave enough to be in the front, right? If he is from the HR, he will be the champion of the HR data. He will be educating me how this HR data has been structured and how he wants his analytics and insights to be done. So this is all about it. This is our data strategy, and if some department comes to us, hey, I want the entire data strategy, that you start with us from data as a service insight, and we move towards advanced analytics, so we do that together as well. Now, a little bit of Medallion architecture, right? So I don't know how much you are aware about Databricks, right? So we have raw data, which is like a landing zone. What we do is we consolidate all this data from different source systems, and the source systems are source systems are SharePoint. Excel is still one of the best databases in the world. A lot of organizations are still relying on Excel. I don't know when it will change, but it will hopefully it will change. And then we do have a silver layer where we actually model the data, we create dimensions, and then we have actually gold and mart layer, which is a consumption layer. We want to give certified data assets. We in our organization use the word certified data asset. That means the people who are the champions of data, who understands the data, they will certify, hey, this is a certification that, okay, you can use this data for your dashboards, or you can use this thing for your consumption. The beauty of this architecture is it allows us to define clear quality rules. It clearly defines what the quality will look like, what is good look like, because we don't want in a situation where garbage in, garbage out. So this is governance, scalability, and how do we democratize the data. This is all about, we actually, through automation, we bring the data, we want to make sure that the data is available. I will be talking later on the slide on Genie also, which is a new product which has been launched by Databricks, where we are actually giving chatbot kind of feature through LLM, that people can actually discover their own data, ask questions about their data, ad hoc queries, because every answer cannot be done through dashboards. There has to be a power of data. So basically what we are trying to work in our organization or in our ministries is that we want to bring the power of data to the end user. How many people are F1 Formula 1 fan? I'm a big fan of F1. And I personally feel data and AI should be thought through F1. When a driver goes to a pit stop, he doesn't go into 10 different places to get the answers for the car. tire has to be changed there, one-stop shop. So why for analytics, for data insights, you have to go 20 different places? Previously, when we didn't do this whole initiative about HR and all this optimization, HR was flying around 50 to 80 dashboards, maybe more than that. Okay, how fast we are hiring? There are 4 dashboards from which I will get this information. I will compile that information. Which are the job position open? I will go for another 2 dashboards. I will go here. How many people have joined in last 6 months? I will go somewhere else. The people are wasting their time in consolidating this information in 10 different. Why can't we have a data product approach of F1? Single stop shop. How do you value the data strategy, or how do you push more value from your data strategy? Any organization, if they want to really enjoy the competitive edge using data and AI, they have to push their organization toward application of data. When I say application of data, you will see on the right hand side, you are able to see the slides, right? On the application of data, when you apply the data for your real use case. Storing the data, enriching the data, getting basic insights out of data gives you value. But if you really want to actually be forefront of the data, you have to have application of data. Application of data, predictive analytics. For example, a bank. How can I mitigate my risk? How can I reduce my NPAs, non-performing assets? How can I actually make sure that when I am actually lending out a loan to somebody, I have done the due diligence and I can predict what is the chances of this person not paying the loan back. When you apply this data using the historical data you have collected with your data science and ML and all these kind of things, then you actually make your organization in the competitive advantage of the others. This is what we call, from a data strategy perspective, value addition. How do you apply the data? We introduce a concept of data factory, which we call Chief Data Office Data Factory. I don't know how much you have heard about data factory. From my perspective, the mindset is when you go into a factory, for example, a factory which manufactures a pen, right? At each stage of manufacturing, you are bringing value out of it. So basically, data is also has to be looked like a factory where we actually bring all these data together, we process the data together to solve multiple use cases, and through create data products through Tableau, MicroStrategy, or different dashboards, Power BI, and then we can actually use products from Databricks like Genie and other area. And then this is the way the concept of data factory should work. And whenever you are going back to your organization, you should always think that are you using that concept? Are you actually using the concept of factory in your organization? Do you have that clear mindset of data product, how the data products will be rolled out? We also started a concept of data restaurant. How many people have gone in a restaurant where you can make your own pizza? I'm sure there are quite a bit of restaurants where you can actually go and make your own pizza. You can choose your own sauce, you can choose your own cheese, you can choose your own toppings. The same thing we are doing for our organization, where people can choose their own data assets and create their own insights. For example, somebody, if you see data assets, we have HR data assets, we have finance data assets. We have data in our Databricks for manpower, staff movement, all these data is there. Then we have employee master, finance master, and then we have data products, HR pit stop. F1 pit stop. HR pit stop means we have a product where anybody from HR can go and can get all the answer, whether it is staff movement, whether it is manpower, whether it is recruitment, whether it is requisitions, whether it is learning and developments, and many more. So basically what we are doing is we are considering CD office as a Michelin star place in our organization, where we are bringing data, we are consolidating data, we are putting quality on top of it, we are making sure garbage in, garbage out doesn't happen. We define quality rules, we work with champions, we give options to create products, we also give them menu that, okay, these are the data assets available, pick and choose. One interesting use case. what is the cost of one person, a data scientist, leaving the organization? Did you guys any thought about this, that okay, I'm sure everybody is aware about it, when a person is leaving an organization, is a cost to the company. It's a cost to the company because you're going to hire again, you will train the person again, hiring will take its time, right? The person who leaves, he will just put the paper, hey, 1 month notice, no matter what I'm going. If you take 2 months to hire, it's your problem, it's not my problem. So this is a person, like this whole use case is touching HR and finance both. So basically, if my data set has what is the cost of hiring, what is the cost center cost at a grade, on an average, what is the salary grade of that grade, I can actually quickly find out that okay, on an average it takes 2 months to hire a data scientist at a grade X level or Y level. So I should be mentally prepared that I'm going to be, finance needs to pay this much money if I have to do a rehire. All this is possible because our thought process is we consolidate, we bring that quality, and we actually create the data assets which are certified and people can use it. Now let's take an example. How did we implement all these concepts together? The slides which you have seen talks about the concepts, the approach, the framework. Now I'm going to talk about how did we implement it here. So basically what happened was the HR was having a problem. No real-time updates. People were not getting the answers. For example, if I'm working with an HR to hire a data scientist in my team, I was not getting an understanding how many CVs I have received for this job, how many CVs have been reviewed, at what stage I am, the recruitment process is there. Everything was tracked quite manually. Even though we use Workday, there were information captured, but it was not very optimized. The information was in silo, we were not able to consolidate. So we identify gaps, and then we wanted to celebrate wins so that we can have end-to-end view. For me, data storytelling is all about when the story tells me why, how, what, and when. All those kind of things, if my data story is telling me, then my story is perfect. Why it is happening? What can I do? How can I mitigate? What should be my next step? This should be the end-to-end view for the users, and that is the way, that's the reason why data professionals, we exist. We want to make data AI work for business users, right? Then we tackle hiring challenges. We did predictive analytics, become a data-centric talent acquisition organization. So we wanted to become a data-centric, not Excel-centric, or not manual data-centric organization. So what were the outcomes and the success metrics? As I mentioned to you, whenever I do any work, I first define a success metrics for that work. So the success metrics was single pit stop, performance versus KPI. A real-time overview. Previously, people going into 10 places, different places, Excel, SharePoint, different dashboards. Now everything is real-time, like a F1 kind of mindset. Speed to insight, time saved, and efficiencies. Below you have the time saving. One thing which I have not captured in the slide, which is very, very critical and very difficult to measure, is user experience. When you call a Uber, and if it comes in 2 minutes, right, or if it comes in 15 minutes, right, it's a user experience. You can still bring some dollar and say, hey, 13 minutes into I could have done this and all those things, but it's very difficult to quantify. But user experience, as a recruiter, I would like to do that. Okay, I download the data from 10 different Excels, try to manipulate the data to get to the insights, or I would like to open up a dashboard, gives me all the answers and move towards my strategic work. So we enhance the user experience of the people. And how did we do that? We consolidate all these data into the data lakehouse. We consolidate data from SharePoint, we consolidate data from Excel, we consolidated data from Workday. When we were doing all these things, we also improved the business process. Why the data is being stored in Excel? Why the data is not going back to Workday? We identify the gaps in the process and we fix the process. Because at the end of the day, consolidation is not like you consolidate one time. You want to make sure that it is automated. And you can only automate when you actually refine the business process, all the data points which are critical to run this is captured in the system. Let's talk a little bit about Databricks Genie as well, which we are pushing very hard. Now we have data, we have restaurant, we have factory, quite a bit quality data. Now one of the challenge which recently my boss got changed, and he said that, Sachin, okay, all this is pretty cool stuff. We were having a meeting, we call that as an EXCO meeting, senior executive committee meeting, where our CEOs and my boss and top management people make decisions about the organization. And one of the dashboards about the HR and MMF were being discussed. Suddenly the CEO, I don't know what happened, he asked, hey, can I know how many software engineers are there in the organization? He suddenly asked that question. And everybody in the EXCO was looking, because the dashboard was giving the numbers but was not breaking up the numbers, like software engineers 600, data scientists 400 DBs. And the reason why he asked why software engineer, because he was discussing about a project. Then my boss came to me and he said that, this is, we got half information, we were not able to make decisions, and square one, when we called HR people also didn't knew. They said, okay, we will take few hours to turn around. And I need the answer right now. So then we thought that, okay, this is not the right way of doing it. Dashboard cannot answer everything, because I cannot predict what CEO will ask next. If I can make the metrics in the dashboard, how many, but he will say, okay, how many software engineer less than 25 years of age? Wow, that was a trick question. Right, so basically then what we did is Databricks, we worked with Databricks, and we are trying to roll out Genie. We have done a lot of POCs where the data is already there. The data is already there. With Genie, you can actually go and talk in a very natural language. Okay, how many software engineers who joined last 4 months? How many software engineers are there in department X, department Y? All these kind of questions, even complicated questions can be asked. So this is what we are trying to do, monetization of data. That means bringing the power of data to the people who really need the data for making decisions. So what are the learnings? The most important learning for me, and to be making this very, very successful, is identify your champions and empower those champions and bring them that, okay, you are saving the world. Empower them. They are not doing a small job. When they are taking the ownership of domain ownership, we actually clearly define how they will work with us, how they will actually make our project successful. When I joined the team, I introduced new roles like new product, data product owner, data product developers. And how do we measure the success? How the data is adopted. For example, the person who is from the HR, how much data is adopted across the organization? How many people from finance is using HR data? How many people from procurement is using HR data? Is the adoption of data. It becomes the ownership of the champion. Hey, I have this data and I want you to use this data. And the more the data is used, the more good work the champion is doing, and the more better KPIs. And he can actually get better performance grades from his boss. I'm a little bit, I want to open up for questions as well, but I might get some extra time because of the slide glitch. Okay, so what next is the data mesh, bringing the product thinking to data. This is one of the things which I would highly suggest, request, recommend that you guys take back to your organization. Bringing product thinking of data. When I say product thinking, is data is a product. It's just like I fancy today to eat pizza is a product. How much satisfaction it will give me, the quality. Data product thinking is very, very critical. Data domain ownership is very, very critical. Federated governance is very, very critical, because HR requires different level of governance as finance. HR deals with a lot of sensitive and personal identifiable information. You can not have a very universal approach of governance. So this is one of the key aspects which makes our data products very effective, measurable, successful, return on investments, and it also improves a lot of collaboration. Now people from the HR wants to work with us because we have educated them the importance of the data, and they like to play around with new things. They have actually tasted the fruit of success. They want to be more successful in there, and because of the efficiency, the recruiters and the other people in HR, they are more effective in their jobs. They enjoy their jobs more. In fact, I was talking to some of my bosses. I was saying that we should measure the success. How many people in the HR is the attrition or the people retention has gone up after all this thing, because we have actually made work more pleasurable for them. Okay, so I have your survey and all those things. This is the logistics, but I have last 10 minutes. I would like to make this as interactive as possible, and please don't ask me tough question. If it is tough, I'm going to take one-to-one offline, but yeah, please ask me anything. Yeah.